how to become unstoppable at any age. Yes, that's right. In this new video series, which I'm super stoked and pumped to bring to you guys, I'm going to walk you through the steps that I am currently going through now for the next several weeks into the next several months in order to be the best human being that I could possibly be, regardless of my ripe old age of 56 years old. And it doesn't matter if you are 56, 46, 36, 66, or 76. It doesn't matter, because I'm going to walk you through what I have discovered over the years to apply to my life through my nutrition, through my training, through my cardiovascular capacity and endurance, and then basic lifestyle X factor bullshit that makes me the best that I can possibly be. See, I want to be in the 1% of my age group at every year that the calendar year passes over when I grow another year older. So I really think that you're going to enjoy this as I help you walk through these simple steps and give you actionable items that you can begin now to become better. But I warn you, it's not going to be easy, and it's not supposed to be easy. Throughout our entire human history, the most epic stories that transcend time are those of victory through pain and struggle. I know some of you out there are saying, well, I don't want to be in pain. I don't want to struggle. Well, unfortunately, that is encoded in our DNA, and it's part of our basic survival mechanism in order to thrive and survive. Humans have a primal desire to tear down through effort and discomfort and struggle and even suffering in order to build back stronger and become tempered enough to find your greatest purpose and will to thrive. But so many fall into a downward spiral and resign to be less than what they are destined to be. Human beings are not static creatures. I say this all the time. If you've been following me for any length of time, you've probably heard me say this. We are not static creatures. You are either improving or you are declining. There's no holding pattern in life. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. As you and I sit here right now, you're either taking physiological steps internally to become a better, healthier, stronger human being, or you are not taking those measures and you are on a steady decline towards death. Every day you have two choices. Because when your life's at its end, when you're on your deathbed, your legacy will be what you did, regardless of the difficulty. The story of success through trials are the ones that not only will be remembered, but are the most significant and the most cherished in your life. Those are the times that you're going to remember, that you're going to be proud of. You know, if you want to throw a little bit of science into the mix, well, we all have this thing in our brain called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. Yeah, I know that's a mouthful, and you don't have to remember that, but just understand we all have it. And that is the part of our brain that is responsible for willpower. It's the willpower part of your brain. And like any muscle, it needs to be exercised regularly in order to grow and get better. It's truly what gives you not only willpower, but the will to live. It either gets stronger or it gets weaker, and it gets trained to be stronger through hard work and effort. True freedom is obtained through the experience of action and reaches its apex through the victory earned through work, and in some cases, the visceral feeling and experience of literal suffering. Athletes suffer in order to become better and in order to win and to cross the finish line and to achieve goals and purpose. And when you ask any of these people, including myself, once victory has been attained, no one's going to tell you that it wasn't worth it. They're not going to tell you about the pain. They might reminisce on that with a smile on their face, because it's not about the suffering, it's about the victory. And every single one of these people will tell you they wouldn't change a thing. It was through that visceral feeling of pain and suffering and hard work and sacrifice in order to achieve that ultimate goal that gives them the greatest sense of fulfillment that they could possibly imagine. But so many people never take the steps to actually experience that immense level of joy and fulfillment. The greatest joys in my short life are those I experienced through the pain and pressure of hard work and extreme effort. Life is never static. Like I said, you're either improving or you are devolving. Happiness or real contentment is winning through struggle. And you have to push yourself to your limits and learn through failure and trials and successes, joys and pain, the balance and the structure of life. You have to experience these things in real time. You gotta get dirty. You gotta get your hands in the muck and the mire, and you gotta crawl through fire in order to experience the true joys of life. It's the rewards of a hard-fought life. The victory is obtained through what you endure on the battlefield. Ultimately, complacency equals regret, whether conscious or subconscious. So enough of that. Now it's time to get down to the nuts and bolts of exactly what I am doing. Now, I'm going to go over a lot of the broad strokes of exactly how I am embarking on this endeavor and what I am doing on a literal daily basis through my nutrition and through my training and a few other X factors to make sure that I have set a course of action to being unstoppable at my age. And this applies to everybody out there. And then in future upcoming videos, I'll take each one of these segments of training and I will break them up and get a little bit more involved in the fine details of exactly what I go through on a daily basis and how you can apply it into your own program to be unstoppable. So of course, the first thing that we've got to nail down in this thing is the nutrition element. And clearly, I'm sure you know by now that I advocate a carnivore, or more specifically, a hypercarnivore diet. So as I'm getting started on this program, my goal is to be at my athletic best at my age because I intend on embarking in some pretty significant challenges in the upcoming year. Now, at the recording of this video, it's December 2024, and as we flip over into 2025, I plan to go through a pretty tough ruck challenge where I plan to traverse 50 miles with a rucksack on my back holding roughly 45 pounds of gear and essentials that I'm going to need in order to get through this 50-mile ruck without any support. So it's going to be an unsupported ruck challenge. Now, clearly, throughout this, I'm going to want to be the most resilient, strong, capable human being that I can be. So in order to be able to embark on such a challenge, I'm going to have to be physically strong. The goal is going to be to maintain and possibly even build or recomp a little bit of muscle tissue. But at the same time, because I want to be at my absolute athletic best, it's also a great time during this training or this block of training to lean out a little bit, reduce my body fat to roughly around that 10% level that I like to be. Too deep in body composition, or if you get too lean, might bring some diminishing returns in terms of athletic performance and hormonal output. So I do like to be somewhere around that 10% range. So I will be at a bit of an energy deficit to start, and I structure this out of the gate by restricting quite a bit more in the beginning through a very specific protocol that I'm going to lay out for you. And then as I progress through it, I will be making a few little changes as I go and sort of evolving through the program. So I usually start by engaging in a little bit of time in a very low carb environment when I first begin. So I will be at roughly 10 to 15 grams of carbs per day for about the first week or 10 days. So step one is I do a 36-hour fast that sort of cleans me out. And then after the 36-hour mark, I will break that 36-hour fast by incorporating some, your typical, meat, protein and fat kind of a meal. Usually for me, it's ground beef and eggs or steak and eggs or something to that effect, which I have no issue with whatever when I break a 36-hour fast. Now, after I go through that 36-hour fast and I've broken that fast with protein and fat, then I get on my typical hypercarnivore diet, which is predominantly, as stated, protein and fat coming from meat and egg sources. I will also engage in a little bit of intermittent fasting. Now, I don't do long-term intermittent fasting generally, but I think coming out of the gate, it's a good tool and a good strategy, again, to sort of reset, detox everything, and get me in the right frame of mind to embark on this program. It just makes me feel like I have the serious pronounced dedication to the task that's in front of me, and it helps keep me a little bit more rigid and focused. And it's at that point that I know that, hey, the work has begun and it's time to really focus and get shit done. Now, I will specifically outline this protocol in my next video, which I'm going to solely touch on the nutrition element of what I do over the course of about 12 weeks' time, in order to shred some body fat, get lean, but also maintain lean muscle and build my athletic performance to, again, be the best possible version of myself once my timeline is complete of that training block, which is generally around 12 weeks. I usually allocate 8 to 12 weeks of a training block where I go really hard in the paint to make sure that I'm giving it every amount of effort and dedication that I possibly can. And I also understand that if you push too hard for too long, especially in any kind of an energy deficit, it could then start to produce diminishing returns. So my level of food intake will slowly, literally titrate up as I go through the 12 weeks. And then after that 12 weeks, I'm going to take a bit of a diet break, kind of reset a little bit so I don't have any diminished hormonal output. And then depending on the length of my goal, how far out my goal is, I may revert back into that energy deficit again. Or if I'm finishing right around my goal, then I'll just kind of maintain that physique until that athletic goal is achieved. Hopefully, I finish and accomplish that goal. So again, that's sort of the way I look at my nutrition. And again, I'll be outlining this very specifically in an upcoming video. Obviously, the second element of my training protocol is going to be rucking for me. And I emphasize rucking because once I retired from competitive bodybuilding, even though I did do some rucking during my contest prep years, I found it to be by far the most fun, dynamic, challenging, and badass form of cardiovascular exercise that I could possibly do. The cool thing about rucking is it does bring in that strength element, and recent research, this was really cool, proved that people who did rucking as their cardiovascular exercise experienced no tissue wasting, no muscle loss during that training cycle. And in fact, some participants of the study actually even gained a little bit of muscle. So by putting that weight element on your back while you're moving your body through space is the best way to not only add a great strength element into your cardiovascular or capacity training, but it also helps ensure that you're not going to be wasting or sparing any muscle as you go through this process. When I did this in early 2024, I achieved the best shape and conditioning of my life while also achieving sub 10% body fat levels. And what I really got out of that experience is just the overall physical resilience that I built within myself, which really truly let me know that I, at that point, was the most tempered and hardened human that I could be at my age. All of my health metrics improved dramatically. My heart rate variability improved dramatically. My resting heart rate improved dramatically. My physiological stress dropped dramatically. My sleep quality improved dramatically. It was almost literally shocking even to me, somebody who's been training at a fairly high level for actually over 30 years now, to see the real change that occurred in my body from A to Z at my age was truly a remarkable thing, and it actually surprised me as well. And I got to tell you, I'd never felt better in my life. I do 5 rucks a week, and I'm also, of course, going to do an upcoming video in this series where I fully break down my intensity, duration, frequency of ruck workouts and exactly what I do every single week in order to become the most hardened athlete that I possibly can. So, and then lastly, part of the training protocol obviously is going to be strength training in the gym. Now, it does surprise people when they find out that while I am training to be a real physical specimen that's going to be embarking on a 50-mile endurance ruck challenge out on dynamic terrain, they generally are a little bit surprised when I find out that I still stick very strictly to a body part split. Now, I train 4 days a week, and I break up my body parts through the week. Like day one, I may work back and biceps. Day two, I may work delts, traps, and core. Then I'll take a day off on Wednesday. Thursday is a very dedicated hard leg day. And then Friday may be chest and triceps, maybe a little bit more core. So for me, at my age, that style of training is going to produce the greatest amount of muscular hypertrophy. So it's going to make sure that I not only hang on to the muscle that I've built over the years and I don't waste any, because I can focus so much on each individual body part and put all the effort that I possibly can into that, and then give it considerable amounts of recovery in order for it to not only compensate from that stress, but overcompensate and become better. And that's really where the magic happens. So, of course, I'll be going into great detail of my gym training protocol in an upcoming video as well. And then we'll wrap the whole thing up by talking to you about a lot of the X Factor stuff that I regularly talk about also, which also lends to increased and optimized hormonal output, overall health, and the whole recovery component, which is so incredibly important in this entire thing. If you're not recovering well, if you're not putting as much effort into your recovery component as you are the training stimulus, then it's never going to come together fully for you, and you're never going to fully develop the physique that you wanted to, that you had in mind when you first embark on this endeavor. So that's the way I put together my training program in terms of the broad strokes of that blueprint. So now in upcoming videos, I'll be breaking each component down step by step into fine detail so you know exactly what I'm doing to be the best human that I can possibly be. So wrapping up chapter 1 of this Unstoppable series, I just wanted to give you some broad strokes, but more importantly, give you the mindset that is necessary and the importance of understanding what you are about to embark on and embracing that struggle and understanding that through that struggle, you will emerge the greatest human being that you can possibly be, and it will be worth every single second of it. So I hope you are encouraged to strap on your boots and get ready to get out there and get dirty and shake it up a little bit. So obviously this little previews kind of set the table, and in subsequent weeks, I'm going to be releasing chapters 2, 3, and 4. We'll be walking through, as I said, the very meticulous details of exactly what I do and what I recommend you do to be unstoppable at any age through your diet protocol, through your cardiovascular capacity training, your cardiovascular endurance training, which is critically important regardless of what others might tell you, and how I meticulously go through my strength training routine to make sure that I am holding on to as much metabolically active muscle as I possibly can, because in order to be a resilient, badass machine, you gotta have muscle. Muscle is life. And so we're gonna bring all of this together. And if you follow through these mechanisms of training and these mechanisms of nutrition and recovery and all the X factors that I'll be including in on this, I assure you that after your own training block of, say, 12 weeks or whatever the case may be, you will emerge at whatever age you are, the best possible version of yourself that you can possibly be. So thanks for hanging in there. This one was a little bit longer than previous ones recently, but that's okay. I hope it was worth it. Hit that thumbs up. It helps a lot. Hit the subscribe button if you don't mind. It goes a long way to helping this channel. And hey, tune in next week, chapter 2. Now go get some.